How's it going, everyone? And in this video, we're going to be walking through the fastest and easiest way to get started using Elasticsearch in Kibana, and that is going to be by using Docker containers. And this applies to both Macs and Windows and Ubuntu's. As long as your operating system can run Docker, you'll be able to do this process. And I'm going to provide a link to this webpage where elastic.co has defined this guide, and we're just going to be running some commands. This first one right here, if you haven't done it already, will create a Docker network on your machine. So I'm going to paste this guy in. I'm going to get an error message because it already exists. And the next command that we're going to be doing is this guy right here. And essentially what it does is it is going to be pulling the latest Docker image for Elasticsearch version 7.17 because I want to stay on version 7. And so you can see right now it's going to go through this download process. It's a 300 plus megabyte sized file, so this can take some time depending on your internet connection, so I'll let this thing make its way through. Alrighty, and so now that we've finished downloading that, the next step we're going to actually do is run this particular Docker image that we've just contained and create that container locally. So I'm going to run this command, and it's going to go through the steps right now of binding ports 9200 on the container to 9200 on our host, as well as the same for port 9300. And you're going to see it start coming back with a bunch of gibberish. These are the logs that are actually very important if you run into any error messages. So I'm going to scroll out a little bit on here. Didn't really help, but basically you can see it's going through this first time setup right here. And eventually you'll see it say green in here, or that it's running or something like that. And the way you can check is if you open up a browser window and you go to localhost port 9200 and hit enter, you should expect to see a result like this. And so you can see that we are indeed getting a response from our Docker container now that is running the Elasticsearch service version 7.17. And so now that we have a running Elasticsearch service, I'm going to open up an additional PowerShell window like this. I'm going to again make it half screen. And the next thing we're going to be doing is now installing the Kibana service on our local machine. So I'm going to again just paste this in. I'm just following these commands, and it's going to go through the process of actually downloading the image. And again, this is going to be a fairly large file, so your internet speed might impact how long this takes. So we're just going to let this thing finish. Cool, so we've just finished cloning or pulling down the Kibana image for the appropriate version of Elasticsearch that we're going with. And then we're going to actually start this service and tell it to grab onto the Elasticsearch service that is currently running on this machine as well. So I'm going to run this command. Again, just copy pasting stuff, but this will take some time, so just give it a moment. I also want to stress that it is important to open this in a separate window because the first window we have is still doing it is showing the logs from the Elasticsearch instance or service that's running locally on our machine. And then if you're on Mac, you can just do like Command T to open this up in like another terminal session window. So you'll be looking at this in a detached mode. But you can see that Kibana is now available on our machine. So in addition to the Elasticsearch service that's running on port 9200 locally, and it still is, we can go to a local host and then port 5601. And when we hit enter here, you can see the logs start to freak out. But basically what's going on is we've now successfully finished creating a Kibana service that is looking to our Elasticsearch service or index, and it will help us do visualizations and queries on it. So that is how quick and easy it is to get started. In less than 5 minutes, you're up and running and you can start doing some pretty cool stuff. So that is going to wrap things up for this video, and thank you all for watching. A final note I'll make on this is that at no point did we have to worry about any JDKs because it's all included in those Docker images that we're downloading from Docker Hub for Elasticsearch and Kibana, which is the reason why it's so easy for us to do this kind of stuff. So it's very simple, and you're off to the races. Thank you again for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys next time.